sometimes you think they never will, and there's other clubs who never have. But
Yeah.
we were, I guess, the underdogs. Newcastle were the underdogs to Liverpool in the final of the Carabao Cup, and they won. I don't know who's the underdog tonight as far as Man United and Liverpool and Spurs are concerned. I mean, I
Well,
think with the bookies, I think Spurs are the underdogs. But anyway, just to go back to your question, Saturday was a brilliant day and
it was.
one that will live in the memory for life.
Yeah. And did you see the England manager there? Well, I watched it on
Thomas,
telly. Yeah, he was there.
yeah, no, I
Uh,
didn't see him. No,
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 no, yeah, yeah. No, I just have a comment relating to that. That's why I brought that up. But anyway, he was there,
yeah,
and what I'm thinking now is he's gonna have a really tough decision to make with regards to the number one England goalkeeper, because
yeah,
having watched what Dean Henderson did there. Now he's got a big choice on his hands with Pickford, isn't it? Because Dean Henderson, he really performed. He made some brilliant saves. So the whole defense, he didn't disappoint. He held up his end of the game, didn't he? Now, if you was Thomas, would you be substituting Pickford for Henderson? What would you be doing?
yeah. It's a very good question, and obviously, I, I would be, I would have a certain bias. I would have to admit to,
Yeah,
but
obviously, yeah.
But let me say that Henderson plays like that pretty much every week. I don't ever remember him making a shocking mistake. I mean, goalkeepers do, but
Yeah,
some of his saves are phenomenal. You wouldn't believe could be saved. In saying that, I actually think the standard of Premier League goalkeepers is phenomenal
yeah,
because it seems so much harder today and in the last few years in the Premier League or any of the leagues in the past
yeah,
to score a goal. Defenders manage to come in at last second blocks, but the goalkeepers they stick out an arm or a leg, and they have a strong arm if it hits hard and they still save it. I think it's incredible to see some saves that these goalkeepers make. So the standard is very high, and Henderson is certainly one of the highest, if not the highest. I mean, our crowd always sing out now and have done for quite a long time. England's number one. Now, yeah, Pickford is clearly a very good goalkeeper. I think he has been for a long time.
mm.
If I can try and be unprejudiced
Yeah,
and
unbiased.
neutral, I
Yeah,
genuinely think, having seen, if I'd just seen Henderson on Saturday and perhaps one or two other games, as a neutral, I would say I think he's got the edge. I think he's just got that vibrancy, that he's quite as a goalkeeper. I mean, he's probably about 6'1", 6'2", but
right.
he's not got a big frame. Which, in a way, I tend to think of goalkeepers as being kind of big framed guys, but he's not. But maybe that makes him all the more sort of elastic. His ability, his reflexes are
Yeah,
so incredibly quick and strong. He say when at Palace so often, or an away game, there'll be a
yeah.
thumping shot coming in from the opposition. You think, oh, they scored, and he'll fly out of nowhere and make an incredible save just below the bar in the corner or something.
Mm.
So yeah, I do think I think he's got the edge, which is no disrespect to Pickford, who I suppose has been England's number one for quite a long
He
time.
has. He has, yeah.
But yeah, they're both very good goalkeepers, and of course, as in the past, it's always good to have two top level keepers
Yeah.
in case one gets injured or whatever. So yeah, I hope Henderson makes it into the next Euros and the next Euros and World Cup. I think he's the very best, the best there is, really.
I think so. Yeah. The FA Cup actually was where I've actually been able to observe him like really close, Henderson.
Yeah.
You know, because when you're watching a game, you're looking at the players and you're thinking, yeah, this player's good, that player's good, but you don't really look at the goalkeeper, do you? Unless, of
No.
course, if it's been tested like he was
Mm.
by Manchester City. So this one's a bit of a funny one, and your man, Mr. Fantastic. If you watched it on television, you would see what I mean. Whenever other players were being interviewed, it was always there going, "He's the best, he's the best."
Yeah, he's JP Mateta. He's Jean-Philippe. He's a Frenchman.
Yeah.
He is the most loved footballer possibly there's ever been at any football club. He is just incredible, week after week. I mean, his word, I may have said this once before, but everything is fantastic. That's how he speaks. And like the week before, last week before the cup final, he was interviewed by some television program, and they said, "Right, we're going to ask you 10 questions about football, and we want you to tell us if you think it's fantastic or not." So, I mean, for example, when it came to Brighton, which has an arch rivalry with Palace, he said, "Not fantastic." But he's a brilliant bloke, and as you say, he goes around with his camera on his stick, which I've got now to look at. I've not looked at it yet. I'll look at it later. But then again, he interrupts interviews on the TV. He was the best. Everyone he goes to is the best player and player of the match. He's. I mean, and often the camera people are in the tunnels of the games, and when Palace have won, you can hear him coming in a mile off, and the other players are sort of trudging in and laughing. Here he comes, sort of thing, and. Even in the dressing room after the semi-final at Wembley, where we beat Villa, I mean, he's dancing away in the dressing room, and he's trying to get the other players up to dance, and they're all a bit exhausted. But we liken him to a giant toddler. He's got that side to him. He's so up, he's so positive and joyful, and of course, every time he scores. He asks him when he first did. He goes up to one of the corner flags and kicks it, and then we're all supposed to shout "boom" because he loves the boom sound. So of course that's very much his thing that we say "boom." But yeah, he's an absolute joy, and I tell you what, I mean, he's about 6 foot.